Welcome to the discovery of the blue zones. That's right, we're back for another week. This is actually the 6th course in our entire segment of courses. And if you missed some of our courses before, don't worry, we're posting them right now into YouTube. In fact, you might be watching this video right now on YouTube. Please give us a share, like, and subscribe as we're putting out a lot more content other than the blue zones to help and benefit your life. But we want to get right into this today because I want to make sure that I'm watching your time and we're getting the most of our time together. So today we're talking about the stress solver, and all of us are dealing with massive amounts of different types of stress: financial stress, personal stress, job stress, physical stress, mental stress, all these different stressors that come into our lives that really amount to who we are at the moment, right? Because we're living in the moment when we're feeling stress. And so how do we sort of diminish that or manage that stress so that we can live a healthier, longer life, more vibrant life? Well, that's the point of this course today, is really trying to help you identify and manage the stress and how to get more relaxed in a shorter amount of time. But this is all part of an overall journey. It's a 360-degree approach to the blue zones. And if you haven't read Dan Buettner's book, or if you haven't seen the movie Live to 100, make sure you visit Netflix and check out his amazing documentary, which really was the impetus for us saying, okay, how do we look at what they're doing in the blue zones and how they're benefiting their lives and how are they living to 80, 90, even 100 years? What are they doing? And then breaking that down into smaller bite-sized pieces, which we laid out right here in this course: the Blue Zone Discovery, the Diet Decoder, the Fitness Fusion, the Nature Navigator, the Connection Catalyst, and the Stress Solver. This is the end of our Balanced Living Phase 2 course. Now, don't worry, you still got time to catch the next 3, which is the Purposeful Wellness. And we're going to get into more of that next week, 2 p.m. Eastern. So for anybody that doesn't know, and if this is the first time you're watching, thanks for joining us. My name, again, is Rob Schock. I'm one of the founders at Quantus Life. And Quantus Life is a marketplace that we put together for all the most amazing products that we could find. Quality, high-end products that we could look at that really benefit our lives. Now, I mean our lives, meaning my own life and yours. So what products do we really want to represent? I don't want to be an Amazon and we have every product under the sun and very little quality control. Or do I want a smaller amount of products that I know really impact people's lives, like Methylene Blue, which today I'm on Methylene Blue. I'm just going to push that out there today. I am under the weather and I'm not feeling so great, but I have Methylene Blue in my life, which is an amazing product that we have. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word, but it does really damper and help eliminate and process through your body all sorts of different viruses and bacterial loads and everything else. Highly recommend that. And this is one of the reasons why. Because back during COVID, I'm allowed to say that C word now, right? I'm allowed to say that, right? So when I had COVID and I was experiencing the COVID lifestyle, everything went to kaputs. I mean, I just really wasn't really focused in on my diet, health, nutrition as I was prior. And I let myself go. And I had some people in my life that also disappeared, which really put me in like depression. So I started binge eating and everything else. And as you can see, it didn't end up so good for me at all. Actually, I ballooned up to over 265 pounds, 44-inch waist, which was kind of embarrassing. And then I landed myself in the hospital. I just wasn't feeling 100. In fact, I had high anxiety. I had mental stress because I was worried about my children. My diabetes was triggered because of my poor health. I wasn't exercising, so I was just I didn't know who I was anymore. It was really a mess. I wound up in the hospital, and I said, okay, time for a change. And that was the 22nd. That was in 2022. And I said, okay, in 2022, let's go ahead and start making this change. And I started making small changes, not big drastic changes, getting out and walking every day and just getting back into the cycle of working out and staying regular and being consistent to myself and accountable to myself. And then by the end of 2023, I actually dropped almost 60 pounds of fat. And I put on about 10 to 12 pounds worth of muscle. And I found some great products along the way. We put those on Quantus Life. And now I'm more myself. I'm able to get in front of people again and feel more alive and participant of my life. And when we look at this blue zones, we look at that they've been incorporating some of these things already. And I didn't see it very strong, very long distance between what I was doing and what's happening in the blue zones, and how we can actually make this connection between, following a good practice of lifestyle and blend it into the blue zone lifestyle and take some hints and cues. And so that's where the stress solver comes from. It's really evaluating how we look at and deal with stress. And stress is a killer. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that before, but stress and high cortisol and staying in this hyper tense of just frustration and stress and tension can lead to really poor health, either in your eating habits, in your toxic relationships, how you feel about yourself, and really can create hypertension in your chest and everything else, could cause cardiovascular issues. So there's a lot of reasons why de-stress is actually a better way to go. And so I'm going to read you this, and I'll do it in my own voiceover voice. So let me see if I could read this for you. Stress is like a relentless ocean wave, constantly crashing against the shores of our minds. With each surge, it erodes a little more of our tranquility, leaving behind grains of worry and fragments of exhaustion. Yet, just as the shore withstands the assault, finding moments of calm between the waves, we can also find strength and resilience within ourselves to face the tumultuous seas of life. Beautiful, right? Finding the moments in your day that you can actually break up some of the tension of stress in your life. That's really what we're talking about. And yet most of us are so busy with our day-to-day activities, children, life, work, relationships, all these different demands, events, things to go to, things to talk to, people, text messages, IMs, DMs, PMs. I mean, it's a plethora of attention-grabbing things. But are you putting enough attention on yourself? That's the real question. Are you paying good attention to yourself? Are you getting overwhelmed as a busy professional with almost feeling like you're at 100% stress, like you can't take it anymore? Like this is, I'm it. I'm going to explode. I feel so out of control that I can't even find the time to meditate daily for 5 minutes. I can't even focus my mind. I just spoke to someone this morning, and that's what they said. They said, I can't even quiet my mind for 5 minutes in order to meditate. And I think, wow, that's so tough that you can't do this. And you get frustrated from the never facing changes. Like always, something's always changing and challenges and everything else. And like all these things are happening all at the same time. And you just feel overwhelmed. In fact, you might feel maxed out, burned out. And so how do we go from increasing your relaxation and doing it quick, right? And go from stressed to practicing some techniques that help maximize your relaxation. And so we look at stress solver action steps, right? Like learn effective stress management techniques. There are a lot of them, especially some examples in the blue zones. Also, implement chosen techniques into your daily life to reduce tension and regularly assess the stress management practices you're doing. Just check in with yourself and see if this is actually working, right? So seems pretty logical, right? Find some techniques, put them in daily practice, and then gauge how you're feeling. Pretty simple. I think you could do this. I believe in you. So learn effective stress management techniques and practice what they practice in the blue zone, right? So it's really tough if you're not in the blue zones to practice these things as if you were living in the blue zones, because obviously there's a cultural dissonance. Like you're not participating in really old traditions and community and stuff like that. You don't have the same kind of environment. And in those environmental limitations, you don't have the natural opportunities and dietary habits for your health, right? You're not living on the side of a mountain in Greece or in a beautiful place like Nicoya in Costa Rica. So, and there's also psychological barriers, right? Stress management requires you to take action. That's right. You need to take action. That's always the equation, right? Like the law of attraction is great, but if you don't apply the law of action, nothing happens. And you're like, well, I had all these great intentions and nothing manifested. Yes, okay, perfect. And what did you do in the law of action that helped with the law of attraction? No, I didn't do anything. All right, let's start with action steps that helps you realize what you really want in your life. which is to learn effective stress management techniques and that are practiced in the blue zone and not having to stress over it. So I'm going to put up on the screen here just a few examples of that. So effective stress management techniques practiced in the blue zones. I'm not expecting you to become a blue zone expert. I just want you to sort of take a look at these 5 main things. So when I took a look at it, I said, okay, what are the 5 main things I could pull out of here? Sometimes it's 3 things from the Diet Decoder, maybe it's a few things from the Fitness Fusion, but what are my core 5 in the stress resistance and stress management? What are my core 5 things I can laser focus in on and then get at it? So social engagement and community ties. Individuals actively participate in community activities, family gatherings, and social events. This is a sense of belonging, and supports have shown to reduce levels of stress and its associated health risks. Just getting more connected to people in your social sphere can help reduce stress, right? People who will listen to you, somebody who will support you, these kinds of beneficial relationships can reduce your stress. And also, regular physical activity, which is the next one. Unlike structured, organized exercise programs common in Western contexts, like hitting the gym and everything else, blue zones engage in natural physical activities such as walking, gardening, and performing household chores. Really crazy. Don't use the Roomba. Get out there and mop your floor, sweep your floor. It's good for you for stress, and it's good for your health, and it's good for your overall mental health. So diet and nutrition. We did this Diet Decoder. We told you how important this was. If you don't know, check out our YouTube page and find the Diet Decoder. So important. Diet and nutrition. The diets in these areas primarily plant-based, and they're rich in vegetables and whole foods, grains, legumes, and moderate consumption of fish and minimal meat in processed foods. I'm not saying eliminate it, just minimal, right? This is not only a nutritional approach, but it also supports physical health and impacts your mental health, i.e. stress, right? And then you apply that to your purposeful living. What is your why? Why do you exist? What do you want to be remembered for is one way to find why you exist, right? So in Okinawa, they call it igagi, and in Nicoa, they call it pura de vida or plan de vida. But it's this sense of purpose associated with lowering stress levels, greater resilience, and improved mental health. In Puerto Rico, they call it locomotion, by the way. Side note. Mindful and relaxation practices, right? Mindfulness and relaxation practices such as meditation, yoga, prayer are commonly practiced within the Blue Zones communities. These practices contribute to stress reduction and enhance mindfulness, the ability to be present in the moment and reduce the tendency to remunerate our past or future stressors. One thing I do when I get personally stressed is take a super big breath, and I place my hand on my chest, and again, and I feel my heartbeat, and I feel where I'm at right now, and sometimes I even look at my feet, and I say to myself, I am where my feet are. I am now. And bring yourself back to the moment that you're living right now and become more calm and at peace with yourself and who you are. So, learning effective stress management techniques practiced in the Blue Zones, not a theory, but a practice. And so sometimes when I hear these programs from all these, let's say, coaches and life coaches and everything else, I often say, show me the proof. Show me what you're doing. What are you doing? Like, don't just tell me what you're doing. And so I thought it was important to go ahead and put some examples up here for you to take a look at how professionals are using the same techniques found in the Blue Zones, but applying it to everyday issues and concerns that we're dealing with every day. So let's talk about integration of community and social support, right? So healthcare practitioners have recognized the significant impact of social engagement and community ties on stress reduction, mirroring the communal practices observed in the Blue Zones. For example, mental health professionals in urban clinic reported implementing group therapy sessions to emphasize community building and support networks among participants. The professional noted a remarked decrease in symptoms of anxiety and depression among its participants, attributing to this improvement and to the increased sense of belonging and mutual support akin to Moa in system in Okinawa. Very interesting how they incorporated this into their group practice. Promotion of regular and natural physical activity. So physical therapists and wellness coaches have increasingly adopted the Blue Zones approach to physical activity, emphasizing natural and enjoyable movements over structured exercise routines. One practitioner described the success of introducing gardening therapy for patients with chronic stress, noting significant improvement in mood and physical health. These outcomes align with physical activity patterns of the Blue Zone residents, underscoring the value of integral natural movement into daily life for stress management. Amazing, amazing. Incorporating mindfulness and relaxation techniques. The widespread adoption of mindfulness relaxation practices among mental health professionals reflects the influence of Blue Zone practices. A clinical psychologist reported integrating meditation, yoga, and mindfulness exercises into treatment plans for patients experiencing stress and anxiety. These practices have shown to reduce cortisol levels, enhance emotional regulation, and improve mental well-being, mirroring the relaxation techniques prevalent in the Blue Zone communities. Truly amazing. Professionals implementing these same techniques that we see in the Blue Zones, applying it to regular everyday sessions, practices, and daily sessions, and seeing the amazing results. Now, you have to implement these in a daily situation to reduce tension. You can't do this like one-off and say, okay, Saturday's my day to do that. You have to actually do it on a daily basis. So you might be saying to yourself, but what are my challenges? I have some real challenges. Time constraints. You know, we live such a busy life, we can't seem to give ourselves 5 minutes, 10 minutes of time to better our lives. We just can't find the time, right? There's a societal stigma, which means you might be feeling like, hey, I've got it all under control, and your ego doesn't want to allow you to say, I don't, right? Have it under control, or I don't feel good about my life, or that I had to go out and reach for help because I feel like my life is in chaos, either health, physical, or mental, right? So there's this stigma about getting help that I think is, well, it's not beneficial, right? We all need help from time to time, and we need people in our lives to help us along those ways. There's guides, there's gurus, there's practitioners, there's a bunch of people willing to help if you're willing to reach out. So that sometimes is the biggest hurdle, is just to be able to reach out, because you may need to find a personal approach to how you're dealing with stress. Not everyone is alike. Big shocker, right? Not everyone is alike. So you need what's best for you. You need to find what works best for you, okay? So implementing chosen techniques into daily life with reducing tension without meditating for hours a day. I'm not saying that you have to become a guru, right, in meditation in order to make a big change in your life. But I will tell you, by implementing daily meditational sessions that I do, and I've produced 3 albums, you can check it out. It's on YouTube. It's on everywhere you find music, called Dino Viper. And I produced 3 albums. Actually, there's a 4th album. So if you like this video and you subscribe or something like that, and you want my 4th album for free, let me know. It's called Esperanza. It's another 13 meditational tracks. You don't have to become a guru. You just have to tune in to yourself every day and listen. Some people pray, and I'm a big proponent for prayer. We all need prayer in our lives. But prayer is talking at God. Sometimes when you meditate, you're listening for God. And this is a different mentality of listening to things, listening to your own inner wisdom, and listening to life in general. So how to implement these into your daily life? Well, like I said, you could go ahead and listen to great peaceful music. You can listen to a meditational guided meditation. You can foster social and connections and community engagement, and initiate strong social networks, like actively seek out and nurture relationships with friends and family and community members through regular gatherings, participating in community events, joining clubs, organizations aligned with your personal interests. And we talked about that in the last one as well, the connection catalyst. Now, you can also create or even join groups similar to the concept of MOA in Okinawa. And small groups offering mutual support can provide a sense of belonging and reduce feelings of isolation, which is like a killer. It leads to depression and everything else. Cultivate a sense of purpose and explore and define your own personal goals. Find the reason why. Find your reason why And therefore, you'll find more success when you look at your why. So take the time to reflect on what brings you joy, meaning to your life. This could involve career aspirations, hobbies, volunteer work, family commitments, identifying your ikigai or your pura vida or plan de vida, and guide your daily activities and long-term goals. Got to find your why. But set those things daily. Just like I said in the Fitness Fusion, you have to do daily intentions. So begin each day with clear intention or goals, however small, that aligns with your broader sense of purpose. This practice can provide a direction and motivation, enhancing your overall life satisfaction. So important. So what can we expect when we do this kinds of things? Well, we have to look at people that are living in the blue zones, for one, and see how they're living. And they're obviously living a lot longer than you or I, so they're obviously doing something right. Why are these practitioners doing all these things? Why are they looking at the blue zones and implementing that tactics into their practice for mental and physical health? That's interesting, right? But what does it mean to me? Well, when we look at someone like Jane, who is 35, graphic designer, living in a city, okay, and she was faced with chronic stress related to her high-pressure job, right? She worked for an agency, sedentary lifestyle, limited social interactions because she's always working, but inspired by the longevity, well-being observed in the blue zones, as I was, as other people are, as millions of people are looking at it, Jane decided to integrate these principles into her daily life to address her stress and enhance her overall well-being. Case study, okay? She embarked on a 6-month journey to incorporate the Blue Zone principles into her lifestyle change, made the decision, and each month dedicated focusing on a specific area while gradually integrating more aspects over time. Like I said many times, slow steps forward, right? She measured goals for each principle and kept a journal to document her progress, challenges, and reflections. And so we're going to come right back to this 5 key principles of this course, and that is social engagement. She joined community garden and a book club to foster new relationships and strengthen her sense of community. Physical activity, she incorporated daily walks, weekend hiking trips into her routine, aiming for natural, enjoyable forms of exercise rather than structured workouts. Adopted a plant-based diet. She transitioned to a plant-based diet, prioritizing whole foods, vegetables, and reducing her intake of processed foods. Purposeful living. She engaged in self-reflection and identity, her values and passions, leading her to volunteer at an animal shelter, aligning with her love for animals. And mindfulness. She practiced daily meditation and mindful exercises, focusing on being present and cultivating a sense of inner peace. The results? 6-month period, she reported improvements in her physical and mental well-being. That's anecdotal, obviously. She noted a 40% reduction in self-reported stress levels and marked increase in life satisfaction. As measured by a pre- and post-interview questionnaire, her physical health has also improved and increased levels, with a 10-pound weight loss contributed to her dietary changes and increase in physical activities. Big things as she developed more meaningful relationships in her community, her book club, in the garden, and she had support from the network, which reduced her feelings of isolation, and the volunteer work offered her a sense of purpose and fulfillment that was previously missing from her life. Big changes, small steps. Really awesome. And again, I'd like to apologize. I'm not really feeling that well, so if you hear me flubbing a little bit, it's because I'm really not feeling well, but I thought it was so important to make sure that I'm accountable to people out there and release each week, 2 p.m. Saturdays, these great, amazing courses. So excuse me if I flub a little bit. I'm just being honest with you, not feeling so well. But I do have methylene blue, and it's really helping me. So you have to also check in with yourself. Regularly assess and adjust your stress management practices. I'm not saying that you just start and you just do this and then you do it, and it's not working for you, and you say, this didn't work for me, and you quit altogether. Maybe that's how you used to do it. That's not what we're saying to do now. Test out a couple of these different tactics and techniques, just as Jane did, and incorporate slowly, more and more things. And finally, you find your rhythm and what really works for you. And all of a sudden, you start seeing more and more benefits because you're participating more and more actively. So dynamic stress, nature stressors, right? These are these natural things that come into our life, like taxes and relationships. These are natural stressors. You're not going to be able to get away from them. But how do we react to them? That's key. Then individual response to stress. How do we respond to people like in this, or how do I respond to that, and really evaluate what we're doing there, right? How do I respond to this kind of confrontation? Stressfully, passively, passive aggressively, these kinds of things. And advancement in stress management techniques. Got to do some homework, look for some other stress techniques that you can apply to your life, and then test them, see how they work for you. But you have to regularly assess and adjust your stress management practices as needed without fearing the facing of challenges. We all have challenges. That's what makes you great. It's the challenges, not the easy things. The easy things, well, he could do it. He learned how to ride a bike. It was a challenge at first, but now he rides a bike all the time. Nobody's like, woo, ride a bike. But when you're 5 and you're riding a bike, people are like, wow, that was pretty cool. See what I'm saying? Face those challenges, move on, find some new challenges, rise up again. So keep a journal. Begin with regular assessment of stress levels, identifying primary stressors. Utilize standardized stress assessment tools, perceived stress scale, maintain stress journal and document stressors, emotional responses, coping mechanisms over time. This step is crucial in recognizing stress patterns, stress triggers, and responses. Just who you are, right? How do you react in this particular place? But jot it down. And if you don't like to jot things down at the time, and you like to do it at the end of the day or beginning of the day, maybe mornings are more peaceful for you or nighttime, record it. Record yourself with a voice note on your phone, and then write the notes later. Hey, this is what triggered me, and this is why, and this is how I dealt with it. Good or bad? There is none. Just how you dealt with things and what you want to do to improve it. Incorporate new techniques based on the insights gained from the self-assessment and research, right? Integrate new stress management techniques that align with identifying needs and preferences. This integration should be done gradually, allowing for you to adjust and individual practices and the assessment of their effectiveness. Just gauge how it's working for you. And experiment with various techniques such as mindfulness, exercise, time management, cognitive behavioral strategies, and maybe necessary to find the most effective approach for you. What works best for you, right? Not works best for everybody. What works best for you? Most important, this is about you. So, professional consultation. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. It happens to us all, and we have to reach out time to time to help, right? Consider a professional consultation when necessary. If stress levels remain high despite self-managed efforts, or if there's difficulty identifying effective stress management strategies, consult with a mental health professional, which can help provide you guidance and support. This step ensures stress management approaches are tailored to meet the individual needs and are grounded in professional advice. So, another way you could do this, another 3 here, is elevation or evaluation of your current stress management practices. Critically evaluate the effectiveness of Critically evaluate your effectiveness of stress management techniques. This evaluation should consider the appropriateness of strategies and specific stressors, their effectiveness in reducing stress and potential barriers, and their implementation. Reflect on both short-term belief and long-term benefits, okay? And then recognize some techniques may offer immediate relief, but do not address the underlying stressors, okay? That means, hey, this works great for the moment, but it's really not handling the issues that keep arising over and over and over again. So what can we do, right? You have to actually start addressing the situation that's providing you stress, see what tactics you can take to remove that part from your life, either deal with it or push it out of your life in some capacity and say, okay, this is unhealthy for me. I need to go ahead, and this is my proper response to it. Dealing from a more calm and tranquil place from the techniques that you're learning. Then you can appropriately use your mind, your analytical mind, to find logic and reason to tackle the issues that you have at hand. Don't respond in an emotional response. This is where we make most of our mistakes. But you have to do your research and education, meaning that you have to engage in ongoing research and education to stay informed about advancements in stress techniques. There's a lot of stuff out there that you can learn about. This includes reviewing scientific literature, attending workshops, seminars. You can meet some great people there, and possibly consulting with mental health professionals. You can reach out to someone locally, right? The objective is to expand one's knowledge on evidence-based stress management strategies and understanding their application and effectiveness. We're just looking for qualified people to help us through the process. That's all. I'm not saying that, Josie doesn't have a great idea or Bob doesn't have a great idea. I'm just saying that perhaps there's professionals out there that are doing this on a regular basis and have a lot of information that could help you. I think the answer is yes. But continuous monitoring and adjustment. I'm not saying that when you adopt this lifestyle, everything's going to be easy, but adopting an integrative process of monitoring and adjusting stress management practices, this involves regularly revisiting steps 1 through 4, or 1 through 5 as we saw, right? And assessing the ongoing effectiveness of these strategies and making necessary adjustments, right? Continuous monitoring allows for the adaptation of stress management practices in response to changing stressors, personal growth, and advancements in stress management research. Okay, it's a lot to say, right? So I just want you to imagine this. Have you ever seen NASCAR or racing or something like that? These guys have these crews, these companies, these teams have an amazing machine, and they put it on the track and they race it. And they race it for laps after laps. And then, coincidentally, they all do this thing called pit, and they pit into the place. And then they and they change all this stuff, and they tune all these different things, and sometimes they get under the hood, they check with the driver, they check all this stuff, and then they go, okay, you're good to go. And they go under the yellow flag and runs right back out, right? Right back into the mix of the race. Those are professionals working on a machine. You are a professional in running your own life and body. So sometimes you need to pit stop and take a check-in on how you're doing in life and how you're dealing with stress in life. And when you do those pits, when you do those check-ins, right, you can look and see what's working, what's not working, make the small adjustments and keep moving on, because you got to get back on that track, because we all have to live our lives, right? That's why I'm trying to move through this presentation so quickly, so you get back to your life and living a higher quality, better life. That's why I'm doing this. So, stress solver homework. Every week, I put a couple little tasks. I'm not saying a huge task, but a couple little tasks at you that you can start applying and making this work for you. So here we go. Learn effective stress management techniques, practice in the blue zones. Review this course. If you don't have it, don't worry. You can download it again. I'll put the link in the description. Take a closer look at the way of life and how small changes can change your life. Also, implement chosen techniques into daily life to reduce tension. Just try to find ways that work best for you, and choose a few techniques and put them into practice and test them every day. Then regularly assess and adjust to stress management practices as needed. Evaluate, and check in with others. Don't forget to pit stop every once in a while. Now, let's zoom out. This is only part of an overall lifestyle change, so don't get stressed. This is just one piece, and you can assimilate this one piece, and you can add it into the Connection Catalyst and the Nature Navigator and the Fitness Fusion and the Diet Decoder and learning about the blue zones. You can add that. But next week, we move on. We're going to start going into the Moderation Master. Very, very invigorating course. I hope you'll join me. 2 p.m. We'll release at 2 p.m. Eastern next Saturday. All right? Now, you can always download the course as well. There's also a free book if you want that. And the change in your life begins today. With your own affirmation, we are here to assist you at QuantusLife.com. We've got products and services that are just top-notch. Like I said, methylene blue I'm taking today for my viral load. Appreciate your focus with me today. Thank you so very much for joining us. Hope to see you next week.